crazy. Wow. All right, let's break this down a little bit. Hi. Welcome back to another episode of All Things Public Safety, presented by Blue Line Guardian. As always, I'm Manny, your host. What you just saw here is going viral. Guy confronts a car thief in his driveway of his own home, and he thinks he's got the upper hand. He's got the element of surprise, and before he knows it, 3 more of his buddies show up, and they start to work over the owner of the vehicle. It's pretty scary. It's kind of pathetic, really, because these guys are driving in a Mercedes and they're trying to steal an Infiniti or steal stuff from an Infiniti. You could see it very clearly in the video. If you look up to the upper left side of the car, or of the frame, by the tree, there's the black Mercedes that's parked out there, and this guy's on the phone, probably talking to the guys in the car as he's making his way towards it to get into it. This guy rightfully protected his property and his home, but foolishly. And I'm not trying to shame him into protecting what's his and what's rightfully what he owns. But a lot of the times we find ourselves jumping into situations without really taking into account situational awareness and everything that's going on around us. For example, he didn't account that 3 of his buddies were going to show up. The video's a little longer if you find it in other locations. This is obviously from independent TV. Kudos to those guys for sharing it, and thank you very much. But let's take a step back really quick. Yeah, that's pretty scary. And here's a couple of things why. When I was a young police officer, one of the lessons that a lot of my training officers, we all talked about this growing up in law enforcement as far as your career goes, is we talked about what happens if you walk in on a bank robbery and you're off duty. What happens if you walk in on a store getting robbed, right? And you have your firearm with you and you're going to confront this guy. Well, one of the topics of discussion within that type of subject is the layoff person, the layoff man, the layoff woman. Okay. In this case, this homeowner thought he was dealing with a one-on-one, again, with the element of surprise, going to confront this guy. He's going to kick his ass and, hopefully get the guy out of here or hold him down until the cop showed up. What he didn't account for was there was 3 other assailants that came to the aid of the first guy that was trying to either steal his car or steal something from his car. I don't know. So my point being is you have to really weigh the circumstances as to what happens. Fortunately and unfortunately, all he got was his ass kicked, in a certain manner, because they just punched and kicked at him. However, if one of those hits really would have landed, they could have knocked him out and really seriously hurt him. Or if they're armed, that could have ended even worse. It'd be more tragic than what we're seeing. It's sad. It angers me. It really pisses me off to see these kinds of brazen attacks on people who work really hard to scratch out a living. They earn enough money, they save enough money, they get themselves a nice car, they live in a nice neighborhood, or they just go out and they treat themselves because they reward themselves for all the hard work that they put in, and then somebody comes along and wants to take that from them. Problem is that these days, the way things are going, we're going to see a lot more of this, and if we haven't seen enough. And to me, this is I'm speechless. But the point I'm trying to make here is not so much of the fact that he went after this guy, it's so much of the fact that he jumped into a situation without really getting all of the information. For example, one of the things that they also told us when I was a young copper, and something that I share now with a lot of my younger officers, is if you're off duty or you find yourself in a situation where it's probably a no-win situation, it's better to be a good witness and a good observer and get all the viable information that you can and give it to the law enforcement, and you live to fight another day, than to put yourself in harm's risk unnecessarily and having the possibility of a tragic outcome. In this case, he was very lucky because it's obviously on a Ring camera, which had a two-way speaker where the wife was able to yell that she's calling the cops. And these guys ran back to the car and they took off. But what if this was somewhere else? What if this was in a parking lot? A lot of the time people haphazardly get into these kind of situations, and for whatever reason, bystanders, that's the last thing on their mind is to call the cops or to yell at, the assailants to stop attacking that person, because, they might not even know what the situation is, what actually transpired to get into a fight like that. So be mindful of your surroundings. Pay attention. It sucks that this is a current climate we find ourselves in with criminality. But I talked about it in one of my episodes about situational awareness as you're walking back to your car in the parking lot, is more along the lines of, if you see that the glass is smashed at the base of your vehicle or around your vehicle, take a quick look, because you're probably walking into an ongoing crime, even though it's your property. And these guys, obviously, they travel in packs. It'd be great, if you were a verse fighter or whatever, and, you could kick his ass and take some names that day. But I will tell you that most of your MMA fighters and people who fight for as a profession, they tend to stay away from street fights. They tend to stay away from these kind of altercations, because in the octagon, in the ring, there are rules. Out in the street, there is no such thing as a rule. Their freedom is more valuable to them than your own life, than the life of your loved ones. If these guys were armed and they decided to up the ante and they knocked this guy out by chance, now they're going to go kick in that front door and enact a home invasion robbery. And all the wife can do is just sit there on the phone with the cops, and everybody knows that when seconds count, the cops are only minutes away. And I've been in law enforcement for over 25 years, and I can tell you that as much as I hate to hear that, it is a very real truth. It's not because the police do not want to do anything. It's that because in some certain situations or circumstances we can't. It's by the time the call comes out, you're looking at about 2 to 3 minutes, and 2 to 3 minutes is a very long time. And if you've ever been in a fight, even in a school fight, it probably lasted like a minute, 2 minutes, and it must have felt like an eternity. Now imagine something like this where you have multiple suspects that are kicking down your front door because you went out to confront one of them. So yeah, pay attention. I think a lot of this, one thing we can all share and learn with this, and I'm not picking on this individual, and if this video gets to him, please hit me up, DM me at Blue Line Guardian 1. I would love to talk to you more about this and how we can actually build a neighborhood watch program for your particular area where you live, and maybe we can reach out to law enforcement and come up with some better ideas to avoid these kind of situations, or prevent them or mitigate them. But yeah, we want to be smart with what we're going to get into. If it's in front of you and you have to fight your way out of it, you got to fight your way out of it. But if you got time and you can observe and watch, better a stolen car than a lost life is what I'm saying. I'm not saying this for every situation, but for the most part, you got to weigh the circumstances. All right, well, if you like what I put out, hit the like and subscribe button. Follow me on Spotify and on Instagram, and give me your comments. Let me know what you think. Until next time, stay safe, be prepared, and have a plan.